Hi there, this is James Tripp. This is a video for Hypnosis Without Trance. I am making this video from the craziest place on earth, possibly right now, which is the Hypno House here in Brazil. Alberto Delisolo has hired this mansion and invited hypnotists from all over the world. All manner of people are here. I'm here. There's Anthony Jacquin over here. There's Tim Cummins, Bob Burns, Michael Watson, Melissa Tears, Cheryl Elman, all manner of interesting people. We're all here discussing hypnosis, sharing ideas and creating new things from this, and it's a fantastic place to be. So I want to create this video from this place. There's no better place. It's on the relationship between the law of attraction and hypnosis. The relationship between the law of attraction and hypnosis. And not a lot of people know about this connection. Now, before I say any more, I just want to say the law of attraction, it's a very diversive idea. Some people are all in with it and really, live their lives by this concept that I shape my reality through my thoughts. I manifest what I think into the world. And I know a lot of people, I use a little bit of this kind of stuff in a modified way myself, who use these ideas to really assist them in creating and shaping the lives that they want. I also know a whole bunch of people, and I understand the reasons why, that think it's completely whack. The kind of whole law of attraction thing is completely whack. And if you read and you look at The Secret, I can understand why you might conclude that. But aside from that, what I want to discuss in this video is the link between the law of attraction and hypnosis and how they have a common root. They have a common origin, and that common origin is mesmerism. Common origin is mesmerism. Now, if you look at the law of attraction comes from a movement, a philosophical and healing movement and self-development movement from 19th century New England called New Thought. And the first pioneer of New Thought was a clockmaker and watchmaker called Phineas Quimby. Now, Quimby was a guy who, he didn't have any formal education, but he suffered with incredible ill health. He'd got tuberculosis, was very, very unwell, and had not got a good prognosis from the world of mainstream medicine at that time. But he was fortunate enough to encounter a mesmerist who comes to the US, who was a student of the Marquis de Puységur. And Puységur is a kind of famous guy in the history of hypnosis and mentalism, one of the first people to start looking at the idea of suggestion and thought and the role the mind played, which of course is the direction that mesmerism went when it became hypnotism. But this guy, the student of Puységur, he heads over to the US, and Phineas Quimby sees him doing this act and decides he's going to drop watchmaking, clockmaking, and follow this guy around and learn mesmerism, learn to become a magnetic healer. So this is what Quimby did. Now, after his 2-year apprenticeship, he went his own way, and he encountered a young guy who was very susceptible to mesmeric trances, and they would work together. And when this young guy would go into a mesmeric trance, he would develop these powers, or he would access these powers, allegedly, where he could sort of X-ray vision people and diagnose what was wrong with them, but also come up with a cure, say exactly what needed to be done for them to transcend it. So people would get their diagnosis, they'd take their cure, and miracles happened. Miracles happened. Now, amongst all the many people that were cured by this method, one of them was Quimby himself. Whilst magnetism itself had never healed him or assisted him in transcending his health problems, the diagnosis from his assistant did. And he was a smart guy in that he didn't take things on face value, he really thought things through. And the conclusion that he ultimately came to is an interesting one, and it's that people's health problems were actually simply to do with how they were using their minds, to do with the things they believed. He came to believe that all disease was a manifestation of erroneous belief, believing in stuff that just wasn't so. And what he started to do, he dropped all the magnetism, he stopped working with the assistant and started simply sitting down with people and sharing an understanding with them of their own minds and their own bodies and how they worked, an understanding that created profound shifts in health. Now, Quimby, he ended up becoming famous. He wasn't a doctor, but he was known as Dr. Quimby because he healed so many people. He was the last resort for so many desperate people that he made a whole career. And he was a very generous guy, by the way. He didn't really exploit this for money. He would let people pay whatever they could afford to pay. Some paid a lot, some paid nothing at all. But he devoted his life to being a healer. And he was the first proponent of what is sometimes called the mind cure. So the idea is your mind is creating this. As you move your mind, it can also cure what has been created. Now, all of this is about health. It's about personal health. When people think of the law of attraction, they think about manifesting things in their life through changing their thinking. But the precursor here is in Phineas Quimby's work, because his idea was that what you did in your mind manifested in your body. Now, the people that followed him expanded this to the idea of what you do, how you focus your mind manifests in the world. So it's not just in your body, in the world. And this can seem like a big leap for some people. There's a lot of people that will go, yeah, I get that the mind-body connection is there. I get that how you use your mind is going to affect your body. I understand the placebo effect and all of these things. But the jump to making a difference out there is a big leap for a lot of people. In Western sort of thinking and conceptualization, we often unconsciously, we don't ever think about this consciously, divide the world into our internal lives and the external world, what's going on in our minds and bodies versus what's going on in the world out there. In a lot of Eastern thought, that's different. The world is divided up into nature and consciousness, and consciousness observes nature. Nature flows through. There's no in here and out there. There is just the flow of nature and consciousness. So from a more sort of Eastern perspective, the idea of how we move our mind it's going to make a difference as to what's creating the world is a lot less contentious. From a Western scientific perspective, there can be a real barrier on that, because people go, it just isn't that simple. I can't just put my thought into the thinking substance of the world and have a thing manifest. However, and I'm going to do some more videos on this in the future, I'm going to do some videos on the law of attraction for skeptics and pragmatists. Because you don't actually have to believe in anything particularly esoteric. You can explain the effects of the law of attraction, how we move our mind, how we use our focus and attentional patterns through everyday effects and systemic thinking to influence particular outcomes in the world in powerful ways. I'm going to do some videos on this because I'm a big fan of this stuff. I use a lot of this stuff in my own life. But as you may know, if you watch my videos, I'm not a particularly woo-woo kind of a guy, so I'm going to do some videos on this. Right now I just wanted to make this video because if you are a hypnotist or a change work practitioner, you work with people to make changes, I recommend looking into a lot of the old New Thought stuff and seeing what it is that these people were doing, because they were really affecting powerful cures. There's a lot of documentation. One of the patients of Phineas Quimby was the notorious Mary Baker Eddy, who's the founder of Christian Science. But Christian Science has a huge history of helping people transcend intractable illnesses, simply by moving their minds differently. This is a fantastically interesting thing, is how we move our mind shapes what comes up through our body in terms of wellness, in terms of illness, in terms of all manner of things. But also, what is possible beyond that? How can that shape how we show up in the world? How can that shape how we engage with life? And how in turn does that shape the results that we get? Okay, if you like this video, if this video has been useful, interesting to you, just like the video. Like the video, click the thumbs up here. Make sure you subscribe and set your notifications for further videos. And if you have any questions about this video or any points that you would like to share, please do make use of the comment section below and we can continue the conversation. Take care.